The story starts with Dominika Igorova, a famous ballet dancer from Russia. She's been dancing and taking care of her sick mother since she was young. One day, she leaves her mother with a caretaker and goes to work. She meets different people, including her uncle Ivan, who works for Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service. During the meeting, a man named Dmitry Hoff asks for a photo with Dominika and touches her in a way that makes her uncomfortable. Later, while Dominika is dancing, her partner accidentally jumps and hurts her leg badly. She has to go to the hospital right away for surgery. After that, we meet Nate Nash, a CIA agent working in Moscow. One day, he's supposed to meet someone important in Gorky Park, but the police surprise him. Nate acts quickly, making noise by shooting the ground. This helps his secret friend Marble to get away without getting caught. But Nate gets caught by the police. In all the confusion, he's taken to the American embassy, where his bosses tell him Marble is safe. However, because of what happened, Nate has to go back to the US. The next day, Ivan goes to see General Vladimir Kasyhoy, who runs the SVR. They show him a video of Nate meeting someone in Gorky Park. They're mostly interested in the person they don't know. Then the story goes back to Dominika. She wakes up in a hospital and finds out her leg is stuck in a metal frame. She feels really sad because she knows she can't dance anymore. Time goes by, but Dominika still needs a cane to walk. One day, Uncle Ivan visits Dominika. He tells her that they found someone else to do her job, so her workplace won't give her benefits anymore. He offers to help her and tells her to come to him when she's ready. Before he leaves, he gives her a package. Inside are private pictures of her old dance partner and the new person taking her job, along with a recording. The recording suggests that her partner caused her accident on purpose so his girlfriend could replace her. Dominika gets very angry. She goes straight to the theater to see her old partner and his girlfriend. She watches them practice, then follows them to the steam room where they kiss. Dominika attacks them with her cane because she's so angry. Later, she stops at a phone booth and reports what happened as an accident. After this, with her career in ruins, Dominika turns to her uncle for help. He agrees to assist her, but only if she returns the favor. The SVR is interested in gaining more information on the gangster from earlier, Dmitry, so he asks Dominika to befriend him and earn his trust using her feminine charms. Though hesitant, Dominika has no other choice as her mother's medical expenses are high. That night, Dominika goes to the hotel where Dmitry is staying, dressed beautifully, and heads to the bar to catch his eye. As she expected, Dmitry approaches her and asks how he can assist her. She expresses her desire to feel special once again, and they proceed to a private room, leaving Dmitry's guards outside. After a while, he asks her to undress and immediately gets to work like a madman. But right then, a person wearing a black helmet enters the room and murders Dmitry. The intruder then throws a coat at Dominika to cover her bloody body and rescues her through the back door. The man turns out to be an SVR agent named Konstantin, sent by Ivan. Soon after, Ivan comes to Dominika and presents her with a choice: either become an SVR operative or face execution for witnessing Dmitry's murder. As expected, she chooses to work for them. Following this, Dominika is enrolled in the harsh and rigorous State School 4, which specializes in training Sparrows, SVR operatives skilled in using sexpionage to seduce their targets. Upon her arrival, she is greeted by Matron, the head mistress of Sparrow, who gives her a new identity and leads her inside. The very next day, classes commence, and Matron delivers a speech on the current world chaos, emphasizing how Russia is the only country willing to make sacrifices to fix it. She also announces to the students that their bodies now belong to the state and are obligated to perform any task assigned to them. In the next scene, Nate meets with a CIA panel who decides to suspend him for his blunder in Russia. However, Nate argues that he has worked with Marble for years and that nobody else can be trusted. His plea is eventually taken into consideration, and he is given a second chance to redeem himself. Nate is then assigned to the nearest city, Budapest, to re-establish contact with Marble. But unknown to them, their every move is being monitored by the SVR. Back in State School 4, Matron teaches the Sparrows how to identify what their target wants. She displays several images on TV and asks them to identify their wants. The first one is incorrectly answered by an arrogant student named Victor, and Dominika corrects him, making him the laughingstock in front of everyone. Another female student correctly guesses the second, and she is summoned to the front of the class. In order to appease a guy, the girl gets down on her knees. However, she is unable to do so. The following day, the students are asked to welcome a troop of soldiers who have recently returned from combat. Dominika selects a young man and takes him to a private room where she pleases him. Later, the performance is observed by the matron and the other students. The matron comments on Dominika's performance, saying that her technique was good but she still hasn't learned to give herself up. After class, as Dominika is taking a shower, Victor comes from behind and tries to assault her. However, she bravely defends herself by hitting him with a water tap. The incident causes a huge uproar, and General Vladimir himself arrives at the school to investigate. He asks Dominika why she did it, to which she responds that she serves the state, not her fellow students. Dominika then answers the matron's question that he wants power. This impresses Vladimir, so he assigns her to a mission in Budapest. Her job is to gain Nate's trust and reveal Marble's identity. Agreeing to the mission, Dominika travels to Budapest and shares accommodation with fellow Sparrow Marta under the supervision of SVR Station Chief Maxim Volov. She then begins following Nate and goes to the same swimming pool he frequents. She intentionally bumps into him and has a brief chat, pretending to be a translator for the embassy. The next day, Dominika heads to the swimming pool but doesn't find Nate there. Furthermore, she learns that her ID is missing. It turns out that Nate has already figured out that she's a Russian spy trying to uncover Marble's identity. He reports this to his superiors and recognizes her potential value. Hearing this, his superiors grant him permission to get closer to Dominika to gather more information. Later, Dominika visits the embassy and discovers Marta talking with an American politician named Stephanie Busha. Not long after, Nate approaches Dominika and confesses to taking her ID from the pool. Upon realizing that he's aware of her mission, she reveals her true intentions. The two then have a short conversation and agree to meet for dinner. The following day, Dominika returns to her apartment and searches Marta's room, where she discovers that Marta has been tasked with buying confidential information from Stephanie. The next day, after work, she tails the station chief Max to a bar and requests him to provide her more time by sending a good report to Moscow. In order to make him do so, Dominika prods him into hitting her. Now that his act is caught on cameras, she blackmails him into sending a better report, or else she'll turn him into the police. Meanwhile, Nate is waiting for her at the restaurant, but when she doesn't show up for a long time, he leaves, assuming that she ditched him. Unbeknownst to him, Dominika follows him to his place. She rings the doorbell and he covertly lets her in. Nate frantically inquires how she found his place, and Dominika turns up the TV volume to ensure that they can't be overheard before asking him about what happened in Gorky Park. After receiving the answer, she kisses him, but he stops her midway and asks her to go home. The following day, Dominika receives an unexpected visit from Ivan, who wants to check on her progress with Nate. Feeling pressured to buy more time, she makes up a lie and tells him that she's also working on Stephanie's case with Marta but will require additional funding. Ivan gives it a thought and decides to leave for now. While getting his coat, Dominika manages to sneak a look at his passport to gather intel on him. Later that evening, Dominika returns home to shockingly find Marta's lifeless body in the bathtub. Before she can even comprehend what happened, Konstantin appears from behind and grabs her by the neck. He then explains that this is what happens to those who share secrets. Meanwhile, Nate informs his superiors about Marble's new message, which confirms that Dominika is a Sparrow. Although his superiors view her as a threat, Nate believes that she's still recruitable. The next evening, he brings Dominika to her apartment and admits that he knows her real identity. Dominika, in turn, reveals her story, emphasizing that her only concern is her mother's safety. Nate then offers her a deal to become a double agent for him, promising her protection in return. After thinking it over, Dominika asks if she can trust him. He assures her that she can, and the two end up becoming intimate. In the morning, Dominika meets with Nate's superiors, who subject her to a lie detector test to assess her reliability. When she passes the test, she asks for money, claiming that she can buy them information from Stephanie Busha on Friday. Dominika travels to London with Maxim to meet Stephanie and execute the transaction. She stays in a hotel room that the CIA has specially prepared for her, with security cameras and a set of discs hidden under a desk, which she can swap for the real ones later. Shortly after Stephanie arrives at the hotel, Dominika approaches her, claiming that she is sent by Marta. Once Stephanie is convinced, she hands over the discs in exchange for the money. Dominika pretends to authenticate the discs, but in reality, she switches them with the fake ones. After the deal, Stephanie realizes that she's being monitored by American intelligence agents. In a state of panic, she throws the money in the trash and tries to cross the street, but unfortunately, she only ends up getting hit by a truck and dying on the spot. Russian agents watching the whole incident assume that their mission has been compromised. They also suspect that Dominika and Maxim were the ones who tipped off the Americans, so the two are ordered to return to Moscow. Upon their arrival, Ivan seizes the discs and apprehends both Dominika and Maxim. Despite their protests of innocence, they endure excruciating torture for days, and Maxim is even executed. However, Dominika remains adamant in her denial of involvement with the Americans. Eventually, Ivan begins to believe her, and allows her to go back to Budapest to carry out her original mission of extracting Marble's identity. Upon reuniting with Nate, Dominika enjoys a romantic evening with him at his residence. However, in the middle of the night, she wakes up to discover Constantine subjecting Nate to torture in order to obtain Marble's identity. At first, Dominika pretends to agree with Constantine and helps him hurt Nate, but when he's not paying attention, she attacks him so Nate can escape. They join forces against Constantine and defeat him, but they both get hurt badly. In the next part, Dominika wakes up in the hospital and gets a surprise visit from General Vladimir. He confesses that he's the mole Marble, feeling betrayed by Russia's corruption when his wife couldn't get treatment. Vladimir tells Dominika to expose him to Ivan so she can be a hero and take his place. At first, Dominika thinks it's crazy, but after thinking about it, she agrees. She asks to talk to the Russian ambassador and tells them she knows who the mole is. She'll only say who the person is if she can go free. They plan to meet at the airport to trade. Nate has to go with Dominika to check if the person is the traitor. He's really sad because he feels like Dominika tricked him. But then something unexpected happens. The Russians bring the traitor, and it's Ivan. Dominika set up her uncle from the start, blaming him for everything, even what happened in London. Nate is surprised and makes sure Ivan is the spy. Right after they trade, a Russian sniper shoots Ivan. Dominika leaves in a helicopter. At the end, she's at a ceremony with General Vladimir being honored. Now she's happy with her mom, just like she always wanted. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next video.